When you do jokes about New Jersey,
Yeah.
in New Jersey,
Yeah.
the audience reacts well. What reacts well? How about when you do that same hunk in Connecticut, New York, or Pennsylvania?
Well, it's interesting because I've had there is a thing about the license. It works very well, of course, obviously, in those places because to them, Jersey people are the enemy. When they see the Jersey license plate, there's all those jokes about Jersey drivers. But Jersey, it's wonderful. People have this wonderful capacity to want to make fun of themselves. I have noticed when you travel somewhere, if a local person is picking you up and taking you somewhere, or if you have reason to talk to a local person in Altoona or Minnesota or Raleigh or anywhere, they will tend to be self-effacing about their locale. They'll say, well, of course, what are you doing? What are you doing in Raleigh? Nothing ever happens in Raleigh. Oh, yeah, it's a Raleigh or something. They love to say these things, but if you attack their place, they'll spring to its defense. They have this wonderful two-sided thing.
That leads me. Isn't it the tendency of people to laugh louder at people in another state or place than being able to laugh at themselves?
Yes, it generally is. When you're alone with them, they'll put down their own place. But in a group, they'll defend it. There's something about it. Yeah, it's like that thing from the old Mad magazine. I guess it was Crime Suspense Stories. Two guys will argue until a third guy comes along, and then if he argues with them, they'll band together. And then if the next block and the block and the block. So if the Russians in the United States were attacked by Martians, we'd be okay. So yeah, there is that. It's funny, and it's funny how prejudice is even within a group. You can't call a guy a nigger. I'm doing a thing on stage about this too, about these words, wop, nigger, spig, kike, and all that. And you can't call a guy a nigger if you're not one. But if you are one, hey, that's you see. Then it becomes a term of opprobrium within their group. It means a lesser black guy. Jews are like that. I heard about a Jewish guy told me once, he said he was in an accident on the Long Island Expressway, and the guy says, you're lucky you're not a Syrian Jew, you fuck, because I would have, even within any group, they have lesser people.
Or that they think of as lesser people.
Yeah.
Is there any specific segment of the American population or a specific group that you feel is your best audience?
No, I like my cross-section. I've been around long enough that I have a pretty broad base now. We have kids as young as 12 in our audience, and I have people with gray hair in the same audience. Depending on the type of theater, there'll be more older people. Suburban theaters, there's more of them. Downtown, it's more of a younger crowd. College audiences they do not live up to their reputation, I find. Now, maybe more true of these days, or I maybe have become more sophisticated. I find them not as worldly. And it's obviously true. That's why they're there, to learn about the world. They're not as worldly. They're not as risk-taking. They'll give me a moan or a groan on some questionable piece of taste faster than a cross-section adult audience will. For instance, when I say I got a joke. Let's see, things you never see, things you never hear. I don't know which one it is, but I have a joke that just crosses the line of taste a little bit, and it's not a dirty word necessarily. It's something in life, They'll go, ugh, whereas the adult audience will accept it.
And I think that's also a sign of our times. I think the younger people growing up today, for some strange reason, have become much more sensitized to ethnic slurs or things for some strange reason.
Yeah.
How would you characterize the perfect audience for you?
Well, I couldn't say that. As long as they're people who have come there with a knowledge of who I am and the way I work, they're going to be the most open to what I do. I mean, that stands to reason. People don't pay whatever it is, $15 for a concert ticket and wait 3 or 4 weeks for you to come into town unless they like you. So I just want my people. I don't like these. There are a few people who'll get beard up on the second show. It's the old story. They're not true hecklers because they don't say witty things. They just yell your name right in the middle of a wonderful piece you're doing. Some guy will yell, "Hey, George!" Yeah, but I just go past them. Sometimes I attack them head on.
Is there a region or a section of the United States that you like to play best?
Not really. It's true that the smaller the town or the more conservative the area, the more restraint people will have. But they're still my people from that section. If the given level of conservatism is higher, I'm still getting my share of that pie, which is less conservative than the people running the stores there. You know?
Is it possible that at a concert today you might be getting a husband and wife who may have seen you in college 15 years ago, and maybe are bringing a cousin who wasn't at school and said, "You got to see this guy."
Yeah, and I'll get people who've only seen me on Carson, and but they've heard about the language and everything, but they've maybe never seen an HBO show or heard an album. And it's one of the most fascinating to me and one of the most satisfying things about having a long career is everybody who meets you wants to tell you when they saw you. I saw you at Ball State College in Muncie in 1971. That's wonderful.
Yeah, well, and of course we do that in personal relationships too. The last time we met.
Yeah.
How would you describe your comedic point of view?
You know, I started to answer some of that before by saying that I'm very spread out and that I do a lot of different kinds of things. Some of them socially, interesting and confrontational. Other things perfectly innocent about dogs and cats and the look on your doggy's face. And then there's anger, and then there's the language, the English language, and then there's the dirty language. So my comedic point of view is that the world is really a big straight line. Sometimes the world is actually a punchline. There are things that happen and you'll say, I can't believe that. Can you believe that? But most of the time, and then for that reason, you don't have to tilt your head because the world in that time is coming at you at 45-degree angles. So they're out of whack. But most of the world appears to be straight and level. So you got to tilt your head 45 degrees and your vision becomes, how can I take that reality, just distort it enough to suit my purposes, to show them that the craziness is there. It's just well disguised, folks. It looks, now that guy Dan Rather comes on, he looks normal, but check his eyes. The man is fucking nuts. Look in his eyes when he's talking to you. He doesn't have a clue what's going on, and he says, and Walter Cronkite says, and that's the way it is. And I say, and that's the way it jolly well fucking isn't, Walter. So you have to do the switch sometimes, and that's my point of view, is to tilt my vision 45 degrees.
What is timing?
Timing is just the sense of the correct way an idea should be conveyed. I mean, we do it in ordinary conversation too. You'll say something to somebody, and you'll have a significant pause that you feel is necessary for the rest of the idea, to take hold on the other. But we're always selling. We're always trying to convince or persuade in some way or another, even if it's just small talk. And so comedy's timing is important because there's all these people watching and you're on the tightrope, and you're only as good as the last 5 jokes that might have bombed.
How does that differ from delivery?
Well, I think there's some overlap between those two words, delivery and timing, because timing is part of delivery. Delivery then has to do with a sense of context, I think, with knowing and owning, the thing that you're trying to tell them, so that your cadence, your pitch, all these things are just instinctive. No one thinks about them.
George Carlin has a great delivery. You know exactly when to hit the word. You know when to exactly catch up the audience with your phrasing, with your vocal pitch.
So then it's a sense of expression. It's a sense of a heightened sense of expression that makes it 10 or 20% better than just if you didn't have that.
Why do we associate sadness or tragedy or heartbreak with someone who brings so much happiness and pleasure to people?
Well, I guess it was true of a lot of the comedians who were interviewed all at the same time, that they all came out of bad situations. There is an anger that precedes comedy. There's an outrage at the base of it, and I guess it's natural to associate that sense of outrage and rage itself with some sort of ill beginnings or some sort of sadness. Crying and laughter are very close because they both produce tearing of the eyes, baring of the teeth, and a kind of a rhythmic expulsion of air that's involuntary. And so they're very close. I laughed until I cried, and all of the words associated with comedy have violence attached to them. Gag, slapstick, punchline. I killed them. I slaughtered them. If I don't kill them, I die. I died out there, but I was dying for a while, and then I killed them. And all of this stuff. There's something there that serious scholars should take a look at someday.
After researching the comedians I interviewed for my book on the great comedians, I came up with a theory that all people who go into professional comedy are driven to it because they, one, come from poverty-stricken circumstances, two, are members of a minority, and or three, did not get enough love as a child. Does any of this hold true for George Carlin?
Well, the third one, not getting enough love, if you use the word love in its broadest sense to include attention, love that's a perceived thing by a child. A child says, gee, my dad's not here, I must have caused that. So there's a distorted perception of reality. But generally speaking, that third one would be closer to true. I got plenty of love from my mother, but I don't think I, as a youngster who wondered maybe where everybody was during the day, looked at it quite accurately, and I'm sure I confused attention for love.